Hello Duelists, it's Tom Box here. Welcome to another side deck series where I will show you guys more cards for your side deck, depending on whatever things that you need in there. So this time we're doing anti-XC summoning. Now, brief history about anti-XCs, or XCs in general, is that they came out during the Zexal era of Yu-Gi-Oh! We're now in the Arc V, soon to leave Arc V into the Link era, but XC summoning was a very dominant mechanic. It didn't start out that way, it actually started out pretty weak, kind of like pendulums, but then it picked up a lot of momentum, and when I say a lot of momentum, I mean every deck would have the extra deck full of XC's monsters just for access to it, because it was so easy to get access to. Unlike Synchros required you to play the tuner to go with it. This one did not require tuners, and therefore made it much more easy. You just need to have levels, and levels back in Yu-Gi-Oh, well, it wasn't very important at all. You just wanted them to be level 4 below, and easy access doesn't require too much cost to summon and better have a decent effect. But XCs just blew us out of the mind. We have stuff like Excited Knight, Leviair when they first came out. There was tons of things. Even Inzectors had their own little XC spam windups, wind-up carrier, all that stuff coming out. That required us to, start building stuff towards countering the XCs. And rather than talking about dimensional barriers, solemn strikes, and other main deck stuff that you would normally see, I'm gonna go ahead and just put that out there. Those are already considered, and they're main deck stuff. Most of these guys right now at this very moment would be main decking Dimensional Barrier and Solemn Strike, Solemn Warning. So Solemn Brigade, Vanity's Emptiness, that's out for now for this list. You know that they are up there among the very top and they are the very best, but these are more targeted, a bit more focused towards countering XCs. Now without further ado, let's go into, these are the 10 most anti-XC summoning cards. So for number 1, we have a Flying Sea. Flying Sea obviously is going to be the obvious choice going into this list, because Flying Seed does not allow the player that controls this monster to XC summon. Very simple mechanic, and as a C hand trap, you can throw this onto your opponent's side when they normal or special summon a monster, except during the damage step. Pretty simple stuff, especially for decks that were super dependent on the extra deck containing all their win condition and all their utility. This card really just stops them right and dead in their tracks, because without access to the extra deck, they're stuck. And the only way for them to get rid of the Flying Sea, if they don't play any sort of tributes or any sort of monster field cost, they're gonna have a bad time getting rid of this card, which usually involves taking some damage or buying your opponent enough turns for them to regain more advantage than you. It just really sucks, and losing tempo in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is something that you can't really afford right now because the game is so damn fast. So Flying Sea definitely can stun Zodiac players. If they already burned the barrage and you throw that Flying Sea onto their field, well, they're gonna have a very sad day, being unable to go into that final Dryden to really control the board. Yeah, it hurts. So number 2, we have the Horn of Heavens, Grand Horn and Black Horn. Now Black Horn of Heaven only negates exactly one monster, which is why this is actually a very popular card even during the Synchro format, because it doesn't have any life point costs or monster tribute costs like the original Grand Horn of Heaven, or the original Horn of Heaven I should say. So this is a very good card, especially against XCs and Synchros. Because now with the new errata, well, it's not really that new, it's a quite old errata now, that it can only negate exactly one monster. So Pendulums is out of the question, but if you want to have a bit more coverage, you can use Grand Horn of Heaven. That can only be used during the main phase. If your opponent does special summon a monsters, quote-unquote monsters, so Pendulums do count as well, you can negate the summon and destroy all those monsters all at once and end the battle phase. Of course, your opponent does get to draw one card if you do use this card. However, you do gain a bit more tempo, especially to cover the Pendulum matchup as well. This is just an overall really good card, but XC summoning is definitely a thing that I would be definitely very, very scared of. Especially if you use this against Zodiacs, even if they get that one card draw, if they're gonna go for a Gagaga Samurai OTK push and you stop their combo altogether, you get to live an additional turn. So Grand Horn gives you the tempo and the survivability, and Black Horn, well, it gives you the free negation of one monster summon. Of course, these monsters are negated, so you can't even do anything with them in the graveyard except for shuffling them back into the deck. So number 3, this is Artifact Scythe. Although Artifact Scythe, you can be considered as a main deck card. Some people do play Artifact Engine in their main board, but Artifact Scythe is an optional side deck that you can use, like if you side in the Artifact Engine as a side, of course. But Artifact Scythe is a TCG exclusive at its time when it was released. Now it's everywhere. Artifact Scythe is the precursor to, I guess, D-Barrier. as it shuts off the extra deck during your opponent's turn when this card is special summoned. And it's just so easy to special summon. Like any artifact, you can set it, and if your opponent pops it, well, unfortunate for you, you really done goof now, and well, you're gonna die because you can't access your extra deck. Cosmos artifacts definitely showed you why it was really painful to play against them, especially when they go into Dark Destroy and you have no way of actually outing the cards without using, say, Ignister or stuff like that. Very painful. Number 4, we have Stygian Dirge. Finally going into some more of the level manipulation shoutouts. So this is, as we all know, that XYZ summoning requires monsters of the same level, but what if your levels are manipulated to go a bit lower than what you want? That definitely sucks, because most people that run ranks, they don't run multiple ranks, and that's where it hurts the most. Unless, of course, you are, of course, the Zodiacs, where you do have a rank 3 engine because of Terratops. But Stygian Dirge basically lowers your levels by 1, and that hurts. Anything on the field has their levels lowered by 1. And it's only for your opponent, so your stuff is okay. You can use it against your opponent, even if you play XYZ yourself. Which is why this card is a really good card. To be honest, I've been shut out by this card way too many times, and during the Draco Pal format, eventually I learned to add up the levels so I can still make Ignister, blow up this card and kind of play around it, but overall, without like synchros, there was gonna be no way for XYZ to actually get out of this one without actually blowing it up. Alright, so for number 5, we have XYZ Encore. Now, I really like this card. This card was really expensive at its time, because it is a spell speed 4, and it is also a quick play, so you can use it during your opponent's turn and your turn without, any way of being hindered. Best part about this card is your opponent cannot activate anything in response to the activation of this card, so it is quote-unquote spell speed 4. That's the unofficial term that a lot of us players use for anything that cannot be activated in response. Okay, so what's this card's effect? Well, you target one face-up XYZ monster that's on the field, and then you shuffle it back into the deck, detaching all of its material. Then you summon all those monsters back out onto the field and reduce their levels by 1. So it is XYZ spot removal and its level manipulation. This is actually really awesome because during the Lagia, Dolka, Dino Rabbit stuff, you can negate this and you can get rid of the Lagia for free, which is pretty awesome. And with their levels reduced, they can't go back into making their Lagia. Although they can turn it into a Leviair and revive rabbits, but at least the Lagia is out of the way so that you can actually make your play. It's not just Lagia too, you can hit it on a Dolka, so this is pretty good. And you can set it preemptively to use it against your opponent, so overall it's actually really good. Alright, for number 6 we have XYZ Universe. Now XYZ Universe is a very situational card, so it didn't see a lot of play during its release. Now, but when Pendulum started to spam a lot of XYZ monsters themselves, this is when this card gained a lot more popularity. They would go Pendulum 4 monsters, and then overlay the first one for some dude, and then overlay the second one for another dude, and they're gonna aim for an OTK of some sort, or just some sort of advantage play to kill you. Well, XYZ Universe put a stop to that. It gained a bit more popularity. Even now, during the Zodiac format, it is pretty common to see this card, your opponent siding against you, since Zodiacs do put out 2 XYZ monsters pretty frequently. So what it does is, it sends both those monsters into the graveyard, and then you combine their ranks, and then you can summon out one from your extra deck, and then attach XYZ Universe on top. You're not XYZ summoning, you're just special summoning, so it's not a proper summon. But that means you can summon out some really big bad boys here. We're talking about Kali Yuga, that is an end phase heavy storm. Not end phase heavy storm, just a quick play heavy storm, just detach, blow up all the back row. That means that your opponent will have to face your coming onslaught without any proper back rows. Like, oh, they just had a D barrier. Well, their D barrier is not going to go off during the end phase. So it's like having an end phase heavy storm. Woo! This is really good. And then you can also go into some of the more popular plays I've seen would be going into Hope Harbinger. So if they can't really kill you, they make a safe play so that they can actually negate your spells and absorb them. Yeah, very good card. Zodiacs putting out their Dryden plus the Emerald. Well, they're both dead now. Pretty good stuff. Also eats back row. And you can also force out D barriers too with this card, because if they don't use D barrier on your XYZ Universe, well, they're gonna have a really bad time. Number 7, we have Mischief of the Gnomes. Now this trap card uses the level manipulation to control the XYZ. One interesting thing about this card is you can obviously activate it again in the graveyard. So it changes the levels of monsters in your hand, both players' hand, for the turn. And you can banish this card from your graveyard, and then you can reduce the level by 1 more this turn. So you have 2 uses for it, so you can pretty much stun 2 turns with this card. Similar to Stygian Dirge, although Stygian Dirge is limited by its continuous effect. So if you do pop Stygian Dirge, well, the effect is gone. Whereas Mischief of the Gnomes, they have to live with it for the entire turn. Technically, they have to live with it for 2 turns. And 2 turns in Yu-Gi-Oh! Is quite a long time. And I like that fact that even though it's sent to the graveyard this turn, you can use it right away again. So even if you're playing a mill-based deck, you can also shove a couple of copies of these and not worry about it milling into the graveyard. 8, we have the Amorphage, Sloth and Goliath in particular, although all the Amorphage cards, if they are pendulum summoned, they will lock you out for the ones that are level 4 and below, but for the ones that require tributes, they just lock them out in general, as long as they're on the field. So no one can special summon out of the extra deck when these monsters are out. So Goliath definitely saw a bit more play with the Rise of the Dragon Lords structure deck, since they have Gospel, and being a level 8 dragon, he can be revived, so that's alright. And then there's Sloth. Sloth was an interesting one because it was a level 6 monster that you can pendulum summon out, because they are pendulum monsters too. And after you successfully combo off and you pendulum summon this guy back out, well, you get a constant pseudo vanity spin effect on your opponent, maybe? Number 9, we have And the Band Played On. So this continuous floodgate is very interesting. It's actually more on the lines of, say, Gozen Match and Rivalry of Warlords. This card hinders it so that you cannot special summon monsters of the same level or rank. In other words, it's going to make it very slow for you to gain access to your XC summoning because, well, you need the same rank, just by definition of the mechanic itself. So being unable to special summon, say, a level 4 when you already control level 4, you have to normal it 1 turn, normal it again another turn, or you can get rid of this card because this card is just really in the way at this point. And once you made your first rank 4, you can't make a second rank 4. Think about it, it's quite stunning. Alright, so for number 10, I have Griselle Prison, recently reprinted in Fusion Enforcers. This card is amazing. Phenomenal almost. I really like this card. No, I'm just a bit confused of seeing why it didn't see as much play as before, but it made a bit of sense because, well, it required you to control a ritual summon monster, a tribute summon monster, or a fusion summon monster. And seeing that fusions are super easy to create now, and ritual decks currently aren't very popular, but I'm sure they'll pick up the pace at some point. This card shuts out synchros and XCs, so you cannot special summon synchros and XCs if you activate this card. And it's for a very long time. It is until your opponent's next turns. I'm going to actually read the card text. If you control a face-up monster that was tribute, ritual, or fusion summoned until the end of your opponent's next turn. So if you activate during their current turn, well, they're going to have to wait a long time. Neither player can synchro or XC summon, and synchro and XC's monsters cannot attack, and also their effects are negated. That's a very long time. Holy crap, that's 3 turns if you actually activate it during your opponent's turn. And that's it for my anti-XC side deck series. Thank you all for contributing. You guys that contributed to this list, I am shouting out to all you guys right now. Check it out. You know, check out these guys. These are all their social media. Just look around. It's great. I really appreciate it. And if you want to contribute to this side deck series list, I don't compile this list all myself. I really appreciate the community just adding into this, so even I am enlightened as I read through these cards. Of course, thank you all for watching. If you guys want to check out more side deck series, the next side deck series coming will be about anti-mirror match cards. Isn't that interesting? What do you side for the mirror? If you guys got anything else you want to add to anti-XCs, let me know down in the comment section below, and you know, enlighten us with your knowledge. I really appreciate it. And until now, hey guys, thanks for watching. And if you guys want to see more stuff from MST.TV, drop a like and hit the left button over here to subscribe. Or if you want to check out another video from us in the past, click here on the right. And as always, don't forget to hold on to your MST.TV.